Yori evades my strike with a dancer's grace, moving with archaic elegance in a stylized parody of lethality. It is written in him. He has danced this dance 1,000 times, never once ending a life. His fire warriors lie lifeless on the ground. Deep wedges in their carcasses mark the conquest of my blade, their bloodless vitals glistening with satisfying sterility. Before my coming, I was told that the warriors of the Empire consider themselves hunters. Perhaps they are, but they are nothing like me. The lean ethereal grips his knives, but a tension in the sky blue knuckles is not of a warrior's, nor a hunter's, nor a killer's. His grip is desperate and immovable, like that of a father protecting all he holds dear. The ethereal fights for something bigger than himself, the greater good. The obnoxious pretense of it all boils my blood. Even in anger, Yori's words possess the ducklet ring of poetry. They will return. They will know you for who you are and what you have done. They will find you, and they will end you. Yori is nothing like I imagined. Studying the picked captures of him, meditating to recordings of his icy, mellifluous voice, I had not expected such ferocity, stalking through him like the shadows of the dead admiral's manse in my cowl, awaiting the gift of opportunity that Artemax offered, the chaos in the courtyard that followed. I advance, moving with prowess honed by a lifetime of training for this exact moment, then 40 times 4 missions, executing it against different foes. With my approach, an ounce of fear flickers through the ethereal's perfect poise, shattering the cold facade. His terror gratifies me, but it is not my weapon which scares him, nor the ease with which I wield it. As I step into the light, he sees me for who I am, a dark reflection of himself, an ugly mirror, my lips warped into a disturbing human grin. Yori circles with a monk's patience, refreshing his grip on the knives. I mirror the movements, relishing this last moment to study his gait, the carriage of his shoulders, the tempo of his breath. Anger and fear crack the ice in his voice. He speaks. I will kill you. I say, I will kill you. My voice is a honeyed facsimile of his, hitting the same inflections, quivering with the same noble dread. The ethereal moves first, and the smile in my face cracks. He is faster than I expected, and what's worse, I was wrong. Yori has killed before. I glimpse it in his strike. He has ended even more lives than me. I arm my weapons, and I begin my retaliation. What is up, guys? It's the Sound Alchemist, and today I'm back to talk about Warhammer 40K. So the excerpt that you got there in the beginning is by a really underrated Warhammer 40K novel that came out recently called The Elemental Council by Noah Van Nguyen. It is a Tau Empire novel that focuses on the ethereal cast, and from what I've been hearing from everybody is that this is a hidden gem. Now, I want to give you guys more excerpts from this novel, but at the same time I also want to not give you huge spoilers that kind of mess what the entire book is kind of hinting at. So the excerpts I give you here is just to spark more interest in you, because I greatly recommend anybody and everybody who's a 40K fan, not just a Tau fan, to go ahead and pick out the Elemental Council and read it for yourselves. But with that being said, let's go to another excerpt here where we have a water cast Tau stalling a space marine in order for the battlesuit retaliation cadres to drop in and save them. Like I said, really crazy instances. For example, that first part is that of an ethereal fighting against an imperial assassin, and man, those things should be easy pickings for the Imperium. But as you can see here, everything doesn't always go as it should. So without further ado, guys, let's dive into this excerpt from the Elemental Council. Orr steadied his breathing. He was water, flowing with the moment, adapting to the course of circumstance. The Space Marine hadn't already killed him, and this was a good sign. The fog of war and the unforeseen arrival of the Kroot had given the transhuman monstrosity pause, but not for long. Or must use this opportunity well. The white flag of truce, Artemax boomed, his voice like thunder on the horizon. It has no meaning in your hands, Xenos. I am here, Or said, to negotiate our surrender and the withdrawal of the Tau Empire from this world. You, Space Marine, have won. The lone Kroot yanked a hunting knife from his sheath, placing it in the trench like a hungry Kroot hound. Sixes shook her hand at the cannibal warrior, positioning herself between him and Artemax. She tipped her battered helmet towards Or, ceding him the stages that he required. She knew precisely what he was doing, buying time. Pontpa and his remaining hunters raised their weapons, scanning the surroundings. This is absurd, he huffed. I received no commands to silence, Or snapped, modulating his vocal register to imitate the electric edge of Yori's commandments. And perhaps the Paramount Mover will spare your life for your insolence. Our surrender preserves his life. Pontpa froze. The Sha Sui signed the commands to his troop, who kept their guns on the rebels maneuvering without. For the greater good. Artemax did not lift his eyes from Or. He raised his respirator to his mouth. The artifact mask clicked with a muttered transmission. Or had to admire the behemoth. It took a certain metal to look in charge when you were alone, surrounded on all sides by your enemies, your closest allies 200 yards away. The Space Marine dropped the respirator, which clattered against his chest plate. My fighters will hold for 3 minutes. You have that long to lay down your arms and allow us into your base. That is not possible without terms. My terms. Artemax lifted his bolt rifle, his armor creaking and groaning. The weapon's black eye stared at Or. Surrender and die. This base contains Paramount Mover of our coalition, the mighty Aon Yui Yori. I know. I came here to kill him. Or's ears twitched. Despite the Space Marine's gruff mastery of the melodious Tau speech, his was incorrect. Threatening and ethereal in the Tau language was semantically impossible. If you came, he said, you knew his importance. You know we will preserve his life at any cost. Artemax sneered. They say your kind are masterful diplomats. You come to me begging. You bring nothing but words. Or switched to Gothic, evoking poise he did not feel, choosing each word carefully. We will lay down our arms once we secure your guarantee. Spare the life of the Paramount Mover. Return his caste sister to us. Their lives are worth more to the Empire than this rebellious backwater. You will depart Cao Kuo in peace. Artemax flinched, perhaps irritated to hear the blasphemy of his language on our unclean tongue. His battered flesh had already begun to heal, his bruises receding. The cut in his nose glistened with a freshly knitted scab. You offer what I can take by force. The corpses of your battle brothers will be returned to you, Or said, their armor as well, in the same condition it was taken in. You left them behind during your recent raid against your encryption timing array, to save your own life, presumably. Artemax's eyes flickered, wounded by Or's taunt. Giddy, Or repressed the urge to dance for joy. His words had lauded true. He understood what Artemax wanted now, part of it at least. Pontpa tapped his comms aerial and flashed the signs for 2 probability high adversary attacks. Or supposed that was how much time they needed. The human insurgents still outnumbered the base's defenders. If the humans were repositioning, Or hoped his gamble would pay off. That lone battlesuit had to be one hell of a pilot. You lie, Artemax said. Your empire incinerates the war dead. Or nodded gracefully, his mind racing to adapt his speaking framework. Not your dead. Our researchers have yet to dismantle your brother's corpse. Your armor is simple enough to reverse engineer, but your advanced biology, well, for the greater good, you understand. Ki clambered to her hooves, her field suit groaning from the strain. She glanced at Or, confusion in her posture, a apparently familiar enough with Gothic to sense the thrust of his words. She knew Artemax was right. The Empire had no interest in mankind's medieval sciences. The fallen Space Marines had been incinerated, the scraps of their armor co-signed to junkyards, save the trophy Nobledon had retained. Nevertheless, Artemax swallowed the lie. With sudden finality, he lowered his weapon. Your terms are acceptable, now hear mine. You will lay down your arms and surrender within 1 minute. You will transmit our agreement to your superiors. You and your brethren will be executed. Your paramount mover will remain unharmed. When your species leaves this world and my brothers and their armaments are returned, I will confirm your studies have not been desecrated. Then I will return your paramount mover and the heretic priestess. Assent to these terms and save their lives, or die with your heathen king. Or flinched. Heretic priestess? He dragged up his idyllic knowledge of Gothic from the fathomless seas of memory. You imply our exalted seeker is a traitor? Artemax's bloodied lips split into a chain-link smile. You are second ethereal. You did not know? Know what? Why you are losing the war? Why the mortals of this world reject your blasphemy? Your empire is sick, your unity broken. 30 seconds. Swordlight straightened. What is he saying? Silence. Or glared at Artemax. An ethereal cannot stray from the submission of the Tau Va. Then perhaps her designs are the will of your empire, to displace the mortals of this world, to destroy them, as you destroyed the collaborators who betrayed Kauko to you. For the greater good, Artemax spat, his saliva steaming on the ground. 10 seconds. Memories of the humans Or had convinced to betray the Imperium on Kauko flashed before him. He had brought gifts to their homes, for their children, for their husbands and wives. He had kindled vigor for the rebellion, seen it burn in their eyes as the wild lies of the boons of Kauko would receive upon its liberation. He had lied to the very end, even as he brought them the transports that would divide them from their kin and carry them to distant sept colonies for duty assignment. We have no such prejudice, he said, unable to hide the tremor in his voice. Then a rot has taken hold on Kauko, Artemax said. Burn your heretic if you have the courage. Only lay down your arms, but your time is up. What is your decision? Or's eyes flitted to Swordlight. The fireblade lifted her head to the bounded horizon. The swaying trees rustled with a subterranean breeze. The telltale roar of a battlesuit's jet afterburners, disappointingly absent. Artemax huffed. I understand. Buying time. What good it did to you. Baring his teeth, Pontpa rolled, bringing his carbine to bear. The Space Marine's bolt rifle barked, and dark gore erupted from the Pathfinder's violated armor. It detonated in the dirt behind him, throwing the howling hunter to his belly. Artemax's warplate thrummed, and his brick-like weapon cracked against a magnetic lock on his thigh. His eyes drifted between the enemies before him. For a moment, the scar-knotted champion resembled an Ephorite ambassador, choosing between tantalizing delicacies at a diplomatic banquet on a gilded world. Then his eyes settled on Or, hungering to avenge the delay the Porve had inflicted upon him. But Artemax's eyes flickered. He frowned. His bolt rifle flew back into his hands as his head snapped left. The Space Marine fired 3 rounds before a diamond of light crashed into his chest plate. The impact threw the Space Marine into the trench wall. Or shielded his eyes from the staggered ceramites of the warrior's ruined plastron. From the uplink in Or's communication stud, the sweetest words the spy had ever heard in his life graced his ears. My friends, Yori said, Dark Death is here. And with that being said, guys, that brings us to the end of this Warhammer 40K video. So as you can see, you can feel the tensions rising as the Tau ambassadors are just kind of waiting for help to arrive. The spy here is just doing everything he can to kind of give himself those extra seconds to allow the Tau battlesuits to make it in time. And luckily for him, the battlesuit does arrive at the very end, but not without the sacrifice from his Pathfinder. So as you can see here, there is a lot of intense scenes like this filtered throughout the novel. So if you guys do have the opportunity, go ahead and check it out. Black Library, or if you could find it at your local Games Workshop or hobby stores. I would greatly appreciate any and all suggestions down in the comment section below for any other 40K novel that is in this same tier, because man, this novel is a blast. So again guys, that's all I got for today. Thanks again for listening, watching, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and of course I'll be seeing you guys in the next one. This has been the Sound Alchemist, part of One Mind Syndicate, and I'll catch you then. Peace.
Always used to put my freedom first in any situation.